So the DJI Neo has been out for some time now, and I see so many people loving this drone and prefer this over the DJI Flip, and honestly I can't blame them. This is one amazing little drone that packs a punch in all scenarios. I would say probably the most durable drone that DJI has made to date. But despite how awesome this drone actually is, I always wish the image quality was a touch better, which is why I've now added 4 new LUTs to my DJI Neo Lut bundle. So if you just want to take the easy way out, there is a link in the description. But when you get a drone like this, I would say your main goal would be to capture moments, maybe some content for social media, where I think the Neo shines best because of the compression done by TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and so on. The quality is more than usable. But maybe you don't care too much about the blown out highlights or the out of the box look that you get with the Neo. That's completely fine. I'm not here to judge how you edit your videos and how you make your videos look, but there is a few tricks that you can do to make the footage coming from the DJI Neo here look even better, and it only takes a few seconds. And I do believe this works with all the mobile editing softwares as well, like CapCut, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and so on. But in this video I will show you how I do it, and the same method applies to every editing software out there. So this is an updated version of the previous video I made, and I will go through all the new LUTs as well on different clips, so you can see how they look and how they actually optimize the image quality coming from the DJI Neo. But if you don't care about LUTs, you can always do the correction and the color grading manually. So if we look at the different clips here, we can also see that all of these clips are peaking in the highlights and shadows, regardless of using a controller or not. And this is the biggest issue with the DJI Neo, if you ask me. The darkest parts seems to be crushed and the brightest parts seems to be blown out, especially when you use the automated flight modes like quick shots. And this is why your footage might not look as good as others, because they have already corrected this. So the first thing we need to do is to lift the shadows. If you're using Final Cut Pro, you can go over to the color inspector on the top right corner and then apply the color wheels, because that's the only thing you would need for correcting the footage coming from the DJI Neo. Now as we lift the shadows, you can also see the waveform changing on the left hand side here, and the shadows are no longer in danger of being crushed. Now we also want to decrease the highlights here. As we can see on the waveform, the highlights are already peaking above 100, which means that the brightest parts in the image will be blown out, and they still will be, but lowering this will make your video look more appealing because the blown out parts won't be that obvious anymore. But because the video was already captured with the blown out highlights, there's not much we can do in terms of data recovery, because the data was already lost when the video was recorded, which is also one of the reasons you would like to get the Fly More combo with the DJI Neo, because it includes that RC remote, which will give you the option to set a manual ISO, manual shutter speed, and exposure value, and all of that in order to preserve the details in the highlights and shadows. The next clip was captured with the follow mode, and here we can also see the same issues related to highlights and shadows. And in my opinion, the clip also looks a little bit too blue, which is because of the auto white balance coming from the DJI Neo, and due to the smaller sensor, it really struggles to correct the white balance and have an accurate white balance in some scenarios. But again, to correct this image, we can also lift the shadows and lower the highlights, and already we have a better looking image with less sharpness. I will also set the white balance to 5500 Kelvin. So this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. Now, when it comes to these new LUTs, we have a jungle, Hollywood, sand, and old school. So the look of these LUTs actually sits in the name, basically. So for tropical beaches, I've noticed that the Neo's white balance is a bit off when it comes to these automated quick shots. So I basically made the sand LUT to add more warmth to the clip, as well as removing that heavy over sharpening that comes straight out of the camera when using these automated features. So this actually works very well in tropical environments, especially tropical beach environments, or on clips that turns out a little bit too blue. Then my go-to would be the sand LUT. The Hollywood LUT basically adds that cinematic Hollywood style and works in most scenarios, so it's an all-around LUT that you can add to get that extra spice and unique look to your clips. And of course, when it comes to all these LUTs, you can also just change the intensity slider to get the perfect look. So instead of having a high intensity LUT that you just apply to your clip that also might not work well in all scenarios, these have been created to allow you to control how your footage should look, and I think that is important. Now, the next LUT is the old school LUT, which basically turns everything into the old school VHS film look that we had back in the days. So this will add a subtle fade to the clip, including a mix of colors between the Hawaii, caramel, and highlight reduction LUT to give you this unique old school look. The last LUT I've added is the jungle LUT, which adds a deeper green while still lowering the highlights in the sky, which often gets blown out when you capture videos in these types of environments, as you can see in this clip right here, before and after applying the LUT. So by following these basic steps, you can easily correct your DJI Neo footage to look better in seconds. And if I now apply some of the new LUTs on top of that, the image will look much more cinematic, much more unique, and you will get that travel vibe, which really makes your footage pop. And each of these LUTs have been designed to enhance the overall image quality of the DJI Neo, whether you want to correct it first or just add the LUT directly on top of your footage. And this makes it easier and faster to achieve the optimal travel look with the DJI Neo. And the good thing about these LUTs is that you can change exactly how you want the LUT to look. You have full control because each LUT has a unique color pattern which manipulates certain colors to get the most appealing color combination. So you basically have full control or whatever you want to do. The only thing you have to do is to adjust the intensity slider to make the LUT stronger or weaker. But like I said, if you don't feel like applying any LUTs, the correction is pretty straightforward and only takes a few seconds. And even if you have a properly exposed image, I would strongly recommend lifting the shadows to remove more of that contrast and reduce the visual sharpness, which will make the footage look much better. So not only will you have one of the best experiences when you're out flying this, I mean, this is amazing, but you will also have videos that actually looks good. What would be amazing though is if DJI could add the Cine-like on this one, which would make the image look even better, less sharp, and give us more room for color grading in post. So hopefully DJI can add this in the future with a firmware update along with some sharpness control in the DJI Fly app. So when we use the DJI Fly app, we can lock the sharpness, so regardless of using the automated flight modes, the sharpness will still be locked. That would really make this a whole lot better. So there we have a simple updated version of this guide on how I color grade and correct the footage to look 10 times better with the DJI Neo. If you already have a copy of my LUT bundle for the Neo, make sure to let me know down in the comments below, and also let me know if there's any specific color patterns you would want to be added for a specific scenario. And again, if you already have it, I recently sent out an email with the updated 4 new LUTs, so make sure to go and grab those by your email and check them out on your next trip. So that's going to be everything for today's video. Really hope that you enjoyed it and learned something new. Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.